In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing the new King Arthur Legends Rise game. It's actually a really cool game and they have sponsored me to make this video. A new trailer for this game also just dropped at Summer Game Fest that looks super awesome. So what King Arthur Legends Rise essentially is, it's an exciting title within this squad RPG space that features epic Arthurian quests. So it's modeled after the King Arthur of Britain era, as the name implies, but it's set in a very cool looking world modeled after this era. And it comes with a lot of fights, cool strategies and mythical weapons. And you can play the game both on mobile and PC, but there's also actually crossplay between the two, which is very useful. Pre-registration is available for this game now with a launch date being announced soon. So let's take a deep dive into the gameplay of King Arthur Legends Rise. Basically, you have an entire storyline in the game, which is essentially the main story campaign with a bunch of different chapters. And the chapters take place in various areas in the world, so there's a lot of diversity in terms of environment, areas, and thus what you will be looking at when playing the game. The visuals and the various sceneries in the game do look really good actually. It is built with Unreal Engine 5 and the world does feel alive. And especially for a game that is also released on mobile, it is better than I expected actually. What I personally like the most is the graphics in combat. The abilities and different types of attacks can look very epic, which is always nice obviously, because yeah, you don't want to have boring and dull looking combat. Which also brings me to the next point, combat. Yes, combat. The game is basically a turn-based RPG with an expansive exploration and immersive story set in a reimagined Arthurian world. Turn-based means you have to plan your strategies for every fight. For every turn of that fight, you have to calculate how and who you're going to attack, as a lot of the fights are group versus group. There's also a bunch of epic boss fights however, which usually gives you the best rewards, and these fights can be quite challenging as well, which is always a good sign and fun. The boss fights are usually tied to important events in the world or tied to the main story, and there's a good variety of different bosses in the game. A lot of them are scary and big and give you a good challenge, and that is a good thing in my opinion, as the game also provides you a bunch of different characters that have different abilities and specializations to play with to defeat your enemies. You can unlock these characters with the summon minigame. It's basically like opening a pack, but here you have to pull the sword and then accordingly you will get a random hero, which can be any character. From a common hero to a legendary hero. This is one of the legendary heroes that I unlocked for example, and she had a bunch of useful abilities as well. And I got her pretty much randomly, so that was a pretty cool surprise. But this is just one legendary hero out of the many heroes you can unlock in the game. You even have this character collection tab in the game to indicate which characters you have and which characters you do not have. And the variety is really good. There are over 60 characters to collect, each with 3 unique weapons that change their abilities, from powerful mages and raging warriors to undead ghouls and dark fey creatures. There's always something new to unlock. Now you need to make your own team and can change it to your liking for every fight. Your team consists out of your heroes and fighters, and you can progress these by either leveling them up, advancing them all together to a new level bracket, which is usually what happens after you finished a chapter, but you can also modify their weapons with the relics that they have to get a different way of fighting altogether for that hero. Each hero has 3 weapons for you to collect, each offering unique abilities, and again you can also upgrade these. You can also upgrade the gear of your characters by the way to make you stronger in that aspect as well. Now let's take a deeper look at the variety of weapons. Let's take King Arthur himself as an example, because I have unlocked another sword through the campaign of the game with King Arthur, and as you can see them here, I have Excalibur, which is the sword you start out with, but also the Breath of Diana's sword, which is the new sword that I've unlocked. Now one thing you see right here is that if you upgrade your weapons, you get new bonuses for every single skill. And these new bonuses range from getting more damage, but also things like increasing your stuns, burns, and your defenses. So all around it, you get a lot of different types of bonuses if you upgrade your weapons, and it's definitely worth it to do so. But regarding the abilities themselves, each relic gives you a new set of abilities that thematically fit that relic. If we take the Breath of Diana weapon for King Arthur, you have double strike for 1 vigor, just a basic attack essentially. Vigor is this blue bar by the way, it's the resource you need to have to use your attacks, but then if you use 3 vigor, you get Storm Blow, which is a pretty cool attack that does more damage than the first one, which is also why it costs more to use. If we however go all out and use all our resources, so 5 vigor, we can use its Blasting Oath ability, which basically increases your attack speed and attack for multiple turns, and this is for your entire party. So the most expensive ability on the sword essentially gives everyone in your party a great buff that lasts 2 turns. Definitely a nice ability. If we use the Excalibur weapon, however, and this one is my favorite, we get completely new abilities. Excalibur is the mythical sword of King Arthur, as you may or may not know, trapped in stone by Arthur's father, King Pendragon, before he was killed. So for those that like lore aspects and the mythical story of King Arthur, you can wield it to claim your rightful place as the heir to the throne and rebuild the battle-torn realm to its former glory and advance your kingdom of Camelot. Yes, you can definitely roleplay as much as you want. With this weapon, for 1 vigor we still have the double strike ability, but with different upgrade routes. However, if we spend 3 vigor in battle, we get the ferocious flame ability, which is a cool ability that also applies burn on our enemy and does good damage. But the ability that costs 5 vigor is the coolest one in my opinion, and this one deals a ton of damage. It's the blocking claw ability, and here you can see me using it to finish off and destroy this boss. So as you see, the variety in weapons give you a bunch of different abilities to play around with, and you can determine for yourself and see what you like the most, or you can even make these choices dependent on the fight and who you're facing. And every single hero has this variety in relics, so there's a bunch of different setups possible, which is personally what I like the most about this game, the variety and build diversity. And I only showed you mostly offensive abilities so far, but you also have heroes that can heal your entire party, for instance, which can be handy in challenging fights, but also things like characters that apply shields on your party members or apply debuffs on your enemies like poison and burn. In that sense, there is a good variety in the types of abilities in the game tied to your weapons. So all in all, there's a lot of strategy to the combat in the game, whether it's the weapon that you want to use, the character that you want to use, or how you want to use different characters together to build a team. And the difficulty does ramp up. You will keep fighting more powerful and challenging bosses than the last, and this pretty intense squad-based RPG is powered by a visually good looking world made in Unreal Engine 5. Then for those that like the story elements of these type of games, there's also the lore of the game, modeled after the mythical story of King Arthur. You basically need to reunite Britain against the treacherous King Lot and the dark god who grant him strength. There are also cool mini games that you need to complete. It is not just fighting and combat. There are, for example, these type of sneak missions for the variety. Without giving any spoilers obviously, since the game isn't even out yet, but the story gets pretty intense. Now if you watched this video and you thought, oh, that sounds pretty cool, then definitely check out King Arthur Legends Rise today. It's a game in my opinion that is definitely worth checking out. If you want to discover the hype yourself, make sure to click the link in my description, wishlist on Steam, and pre-register today to stay up to date on the latest news. Pre-registration will give you huge launch rewards that you won't want to lose out on. We're talking rewards like gold, orbs, summons, and even legendary heroes at the worldwide launch. Definitely do that, and also be sure to follow @PlayKingArthur on all socials. They will keep you up to date and tell you all the news about this game. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one.